Welcome everybody to House and Space Clearing from A to Z. It is August 19th, 2023. How's it get better than this? Call 2. And yes, so we've been reflecting on this class a bit because it was really clear to me how many questions were around more like inheritance, co-ownership with family, and like having to like outcreate that, which I thought was so bizarre showing up in a house and space clearing class. And I know I was joking that it seemed like a Right Riches class, but this class seems like it's going in the direction of that kind of Right Riches money topic. So basically what I'm saying is I am loosening the reins a bit to see where we want to go and what this class turns into. If it does become more of a money conversation, I'm going to let that happen. Whereas yesterday I wasn't willing to go there. So I'm just warning everybody that that's, I'm just going to follow the energy because this class has actually, frankly, has felt the most bizarre, of any class I've done in a super long time, actually. And I'm super interested to find out like what that is. So we're just going to keep on going with the class and see what shows up and keep working through stuff. And I'm sure it'll all work out greater than I can even imagine. And from where I'm standing right now, this topic just seems almost like everybody learned how to do the house and space clearing stuff already. Like it's like been there, done that. And now it's going into other stuff. So that may or may not be true and what's the case in this class, but it also might be that this information about like space and house clearing is sort of more like in the psychic space of the universe more. So it's just like a known thing. However, doing the clearings that we did in those two specific houses yesterday was quite palpable and dynamic. So I oftentimes don't have a clue what's going on. So yay me. Okay, that's my big lecture about how I feel about class. There are more questions that were sent in. So I'm just going to literally start going through the questions. You guys know the drill. If you have a question, raise your hand on Zoom and let's change the universe. Okay, I have a question. Is workplace included in this clearing? I work in a hospital. What would it take for having greater capacity in lowering my bears when I'm there? What's required? I actually think this is like an awesome question. Hospitals are really specific buildings. So this class is house and space clearing, right? Houses, building, land, apartments, dwellings essentially, and land. But hospitals are really specific because there's a lot of people dying there. There's a lot of people being born there, and there's a lot of drugs that go on in hospitals. And so just those three things occurring in such a concentrated space creates, number one, a huge amount of entity activity that is almost, I don't even know where you would run into that degree of entity activity anywhere else. So if you work in a hospital, what are the tools that you're going to need to use and how consistent are you going to have to be with the application of the tools? So clearing a hospital is very similar to clearing a house, except you're doing it on a much larger scale, obviously much larger volume, meaning you might have to be more consistent, like doing it more often, especially since there's going to be this constant stream of entities coming and going from the hospital. In fact, sometimes when you run into like a lost entity who like wants a body or is trying to get into your body or like, needs a body, you can literally point them in the direction of the closest hospital and say, you could get a body there. That's how much entities are coming and going. They're really like the entity, like superhighway. So that being said, when you do clearings in hospitals, like it will be effective, but you're never going to get to the place where there's no entities in a hospital. That's not what that will ever be. So when you do entity clearings, remember, when you're asking an entity, who are you? You're not clearing them. You're facilitating them to have another choice. Who are you? They're like, oh, I'm so-and-so. Because remember, in order for them to hang around as an entity, they have to be stuck in some kind of an identity. For example, if my body dies, or when my body dies, if I continue on as a being thinking and defining and identifying myself as Shannon O'Hara, is it really true that I'm Shannon O'Hara? Or is that the identifier that I had this lifetime in this body? So when somebody steps out of their body, their identifiers change. In fact, they become an infinite being again. But if they hold on to the identity, that's when we detect them as an entity, not infinite space. So for you to perceive them as an entity, they are in some sort of identity definition. Who are you? They'll tell you, this is my identifier. Who were you before that? Oh, I was this before that. Who were you before that? Oh, I was this. Who will you be in the future helps them to see that they have another choice. And that's how the entity clearing work. You're not clearing them. You're actually facilitating choice, which is really the premise of all of Access. So when you're clearing entities from a hospital, you're going to be dealing with entities, obviously, that are aware that they don't have a body anymore, but then also probably a lot of entities that aren't aware that they don't have a body anymore, but also entities that are just like coming to take another body and being born into a new body, or walking into a body another being doesn't want anymore. So I think what I'm trying to say is, like, you're going to have clearing success, but you will never clear all the entities in a hospital. In fact, you shouldn't really be clearing all the entities in a hospital. Okay, that's number one. That's like the easiest part, I think. And you just sort of get at peace with the fact that you're working in an entity-rich environment. And when you add drugs on top of all that, that's where it can become less clean, I would say. So, and obviously hospitals are where there is the greatest use of pharmaceutical drugs. Probably the largest concentration of the use of drugs anywhere. So drugs are multifaceted in that, number one, they open up people to pulling in particular kinds of entities, which isn't necessarily bad, but then you're going to have like these weird multi-dimensional, multi-layered like pile-ups of entities, especially if you're like in a psychiatric ward. Like, that's going to bring in all sorts of certain kinds of entities because of the drugs that are used there. Or if you're in like a geriatric ward where people are really old and like their reality is bleeding a lot and shifting through Alzheimer's and dementia. So you're going to have like access to a lot of different universes and like different ways in which entities like show up or get stuck or get attached to people, or people are like checking out and entities are coming in and sort of like running their bodies, all of which occurs. But if we were to transplant the function of a hospital in this reality into a totally conscious, like, let's just imagine for a moment, like we're going to a totally conscious universe where we don't pretend, like there's no pretense that entities don't exist, right? There's like total inclusion of all beings, like with awareness and without reaction, right? So we include awareness of entities, we include awareness of like the ability to go to different realities and other dimensions, which is what I actually believe people with dementia are like doing as a capacity. They're like transitioning or traveling to another reality, which isn't wrong, except when it's done with unconsciousness. Well, it's actually not even really that when it's done with unconsciousness. It's like oftentimes people use that as an avoidance of or an escape from this reality, rather than the power, potency, and possibility that it could be. So if you transpose the hospital of this reality and everything that goes on there, right, which is, mending of bodies, dealing with mental disorders, because some of hospitals are dealing with body stuff and some hospitals are dealing with psychological stuff. So if you transplant that into a conscious world that includes everything and judges nothing, how would that change how you function in a hospital? Would a hospital be about handling problems, the problem of the body, Or would a hospital be a place of accessing greater consciousness to transform and shift reality? So I might be taking this a little bit far for you, Remy, who asked the question. However, that's where I would go with it. It's like because what is actually occurring is multiple simultaneous realities at the same time. There is the reality of unconsciousness and anti-consciousness and drugs and people dying and trauma, etc., that goes on. Like there is that reality. But simultaneously, there's also all these other realities occurring, which are the choices that people are making, which are valid and real, that are dictating the outcome of people's lives. There's also the reality of all of this entity activity and participation and presence that is valid and real, that's just there. Which reality are you going to live in? Are you going to continue to pretend that what other people refuse to be and see and have and choose, are you going to continue to force yourself to live in that reality? Or are you going to claim and own all the other realities that you are simultaneously aware of, that you've not ever maybe given yourself permission to explore, investigate, have, inhabit, acknowledge, choose, and include? The hospital one is so huge because you can look at it like just purely with entities, right? You're clearing entities with the awareness that since it's not really in the cards to clear all entities, it's also about cooperating with entities. So the more willing you are to cooperate with the entities that are in and around the hospital, the easier it's going to be. And then you add the added component of complexity of drugs. However, you've got the tools to handle drug entities. And that's in the beginning class, because you have to gotta clear all the drugs in the entity system. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, povads, boys, meons. And then sense when they're like sort of present enough to just do the clearing. Because you're going to have a lot of beings, entities walking around the halls of the hospital who don't even realize their body died because they crossed over on drugs. Like we are at a time now where people are crossing over. It's an unprecedented amount of drugs that it's occurring for people in their death process than ever before. So just if you know that, I guess your job is sort of twofold. It's like one, performing your duties as like a nurse or a doctor at the hospital or an administrator or whatever your job is there. And then the second duty is to facilitate the expansion and growth of consciousness through the transformation of all energies and entities. What energy, space, consciousness, magic, miracle, mystery, power, potency, and possibility, and choice can me and my body be to shift, change, transform, and clear all energies and entities with total ease? And everything that doesn't allow that, for all of you, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, ugh, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, povads, boys, and meons. So you want to remember that that's where we're heading, that you become the transformation, you become the clearing. And especially if you're working in a hospital, if you want to become more efficient and have way more ease, you want to become these energies, right? Less presumption, less reaction, more energy, space, and consciousness. And is that a reality that you value? Okay, I hope that sort of covered the hospital thing. Hospitals are a particularly dynamic environment for that kind of thing. So the other thing, just really, like, you're gonna have to play with this stuff. Like, you're gonna have to get to work and play with it, because the more you greet the energy that you're aware of with like the tools that you have available to you, the better you're gonna get at it. So at first it might be hard, but eventually it becomes second nature. And that's the name of the game here. Like, you guys are becoming something different. You're learning something different, but you're becoming something different. Like, literally, you are different than the people around you, in that you are capable of something that they may not be, and they might not even be able to perceive as a possibility or a reality. Does that make it any less valid, real, or true? Or is it something that only you can choose? So please don't forget that you're not just wrong because you're aware of entities. You're actually different. And that difference is your greatest asset, literally. Okay. Nayati.
Hi, Shannon.
Hey.
I want to ask about lands.
Sorry, say it one more time. About
About
what?
lands.
Land.
Land,
Yeah.
yes. So my family's main business is real estate and construction. So we have a lot of land.
Mm-hmm.
And I stumble upon the fact that I have a lot of capacity with lands because of that, in a way. And basically what I want to ask is, normally I have a lot of these when it comes to communicating with land. It's like I can just tap into a piece of land and I sort of get a download, which is and I can like maybe speak to lands more easily than I can talk to people, like boom,
Right.
boom, 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 which is very cool. At the same time, we have two pieces of land. The first one, when my dad bought it, say about 25 years ago, it almost brought us to bankruptcy. And then he did whatever, figured out the situation. But that piece of land is still with us. About 2 years back, when I first did my Talk to the Entities beginning class, land started showing up in my business hours without me wanting to include them, but they just started popping up.
Mm-hmm.
And what it told me was that that land had been raped.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into judgment of myself, thinking I must be crazy. How can a land be raped, etc., etc. Now that I've done the advanced classes, etc., I know that is true.
Yeah.
And we've made a lot of we've planted a lot of things there, like trees, etc. I've done the trifold sequencing system so many times. I've visited the land so many times, and still, it's not moving. It's basically like it's just there, and I don't get anything from it.
Do you mean, sorry, moving in what way? Like moving like,
So about 5-6 years back, my brother decided to do like a sort of plotting scheme. So because it's a huge piece of land, we've sort of made it into like holiday homes. So people can buy like one piece of that land.
yeah,
And we've planted like whole greenery and everything around, and you
Right.
can make your holiday home.
right,
And in about 7, 8 years, we've only sold one plot, but it
Right.
doesn't seem to move.
right, right.
And it keeps pinging me, but then I don't get any, like I ask any questions, but it is just blank.
Well, okay, so the first question has to be like, okay, did the land want to be subdivided and turned into holiday homes?
No.
Yeah, so that's where you're starting off right up from the front. Like, you're already going against what the land can be.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that it's like all ruined. It just means like, okay, you need to acknowledge like, okay, your brother decided that, like he thought it was a good idea. Was there awareness of energy in it? Or was he just, imposing his decision on, he was just
imposing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what's dangerous about decisions. They don't follow the energy, So, okay, so basically what I would do is I would talk to land and just be like, okay, let's all together now. Let's go to this. So where's the land?
In Ahmedabad, well, outskirts of Ahmedabad, India.
Okay, so is that north, south, east, west, central?
It is central towards the west. It's just the state is below Pakistan, so it's central on the west
Cool.
side.
Okay,
Yeah.
That was enough. I could get connected to it enough there. Hopefully you guys could get some connection to that based on that thing she just did. So let's go there to this land. Okay. So this is what I would basically do. And we'll do it all together. We're so much more powerful together too. So yeah, yes. But sorry, even if we're not all together, like I want to go through these processes with you guys in this way all together so that you recognize that you can also perform this on your own, right? And you're going to have to play around with it. And sometimes if you run into something that feels like you need a buddy or you need more energy included in the process, then you call up your access buddy or you talk to the entities buddies and be like, look guys, can you help me with this? I want to try this process. Will you contribute energy? And like work together with people. So to the land. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for my brother's decisions on you.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I can be and do with you at this point to create something greater for you, for us? How do we move forward together? Essentially. Now you're going to have to be careful not to go into your head too much, okay? Because you're probably going to hear a lot more of the communication from the earth from your body. But you want to start.
Could you talk more about that?
What do you mean?
Because
Yeah, I mean,
because the first time we when I just asked that question, I basically got like, okay, like for my body to go and lie down on that land,
yeah.
you know, and then you said, okay, like you have to like,
Oh, you mean you just
Yeah.
got that to do that in this like moment that we were.
yeah,
Oh, good. Do that then. Definitely. Great.
okay.
Oh,
But that
yeah.
is not me communicating with the earth or
Which isn't, sorry, I don't understand.
like me literally going and lying down on that piece of land. Is that me communicating with earth in total or that piece of land?
Didn't we just ask the land like what
Yes,
that we could be
yes.
or do? Like, are you
Yes.
being stupid? Oh no.
Yes.
You have this like ease of magic, and then you're like, wait, I'm stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
No, that's perfect. So you got an actionable step, right? And it might be you lay down on the ground for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or multiple times. And you're going to have to feel that out. But now you know, okay, what can I be or do with you to move forward?
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely. Start there, okay? So you got an
Yes.
actionable step. This, like years ago, and some of you guys have heard me tell this story, so excuse me, I apologize, but I want to tell it again now for those of you guys that haven't heard it. Like a couple years ago, it would have been maybe even 4 years ago, because it was before like the whole pandemic thing. we were in Australia, and I was waking up in the morning with, like, you guys know that feeling when you eat too much salt and your mouth hurts from too much sodium? So I was waking up every morning feeling like I had been like drinking ocean water all night. Like my mouth was so burned from sodium. And this went on for like multiple days, and I kept on, and I presumed that I was eating too much salt, right? Like I just decided, I was like, oh, it must be, I'm eating too much salt, right? So I literally like progressively cut back adding any salt to my food. And even after a week of doing that, I was still waking up in the morning with my mouth burning from like sodium burn. And finally one morning I like sat up, and we were staying right on the beach, like right on the ocean. And I was like, asked my husband, I was like, can you please help me? What is this? And immediately both of our attention got directed right to the ocean. So, and I got immediately, go swimming, right? Like take your body there. So that day I went in the ocean for like, my body like needed to stay in the water for like half an hour, which is much longer than I usually stay in the ocean. But I'm just in there and And then like about 25 minutes into me just hanging out in the ocean, all this downloaded information comes about this class called the Forest class that we actually like started instituting, creating, and we were going to have in the Amazon in Brazil, like right in 2020, we were planning to have it. And like, that's right when things sort of went on another path on the planet. But we actually created the forest class, and it wasn't until I got that information about the forest class, which I believe will be rerouted and will most likely occur in Alugar somewhere in the next few years, right? Which I haven't actually even thought about till just right now. So thank you and your body and your land in India, because that's totally contributing to the expansion of what the land has also taught me. But essentially, like, I couldn't get out of the water until I got this information about the forest class, and the ocean taught me and told me about the forest class. And then my mouth stopped hurting.
Wow.
So I do also know that it is valid sometimes, like when you get the hit or the picture or the information, like lay down on the ground or go in the ocean or climb that tree or, you know, take off your shoes or what, like you guys, like that's part of this cooperation with Earth. So start there for you, okay? And it's like, because I literally had to take my body into the ocean for, 35 minutes. Then I got all the information that was required. Then I could, move on.
That's beautiful. Wow. Thank you for that. Yeah. Because, yeah, I get a lot of these things about doing things with my body. Also, like with water, with land, the grass. So
Please do. Please do.
Yeah. Thank you. And I have another question. We have another piece of land in Mumbai, actually. It's a huge piece of land. It's been in conflict for over 20 years.
Give me what do you mean specifically? Like legal conflict or development
Legal conflict. So so my dad bought it because at that time seemed like, okay, my dad is very good with paperwork, like legal paperwork.
Okay.
And I think I also get that from him. I'm very good with paperwork. But okay, so it was offered to him and he thought, okay, maybe in the next 3 or 4 months, I can finish off the paperwork and the land. We've paid it off, so the land will belong to us. By the time he could finish the paperwork, the biggest real estate constructor company in Mumbai sued my dad for this land, saying this land was his when it's actually not.
Right.
And that legal conflict has been in court for about 20 years.
Right.
And that land also keeps pinging me. So the first thing I asked is, okay, so who would you like to own? And on paper, that land is not under my name. It's under my dad and my dad's brother's name. But the land keeps saying that it would like to own me.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, since there is a legal conflict involved, then my dad doesn't want to like change the name because it could mean a lot of whatever things for me.
Yeah.
But like that land is so loud. And every time I tap into, okay, so what else is required?
This is
just blank.
But this is, I mean, what I think is super interesting about this class, which I did not anticipate like at all, was how much this like legal hereditary topic would come up. And I actually asked my dad, because I like actually yesterday, like it's rare that I don't know what to do with something. And I actually had to ask my dad, I was like, okay, so I'm doing this house clearing class, but like the thing that's coming up the most is like legal inheritance, hereditary, like property conflict. And he was like, well, it's probably a Right Riches specialty. And I was like, wow, that's so funny, because we were totally joking yesterday that this was like a Right Riches class. And it's obvious. And this is how consciousness works. Like it tells you what to do. Like, so, and to be honest with you guys, like I just decided to do a house clearing class. I didn't like ask like, okay, so like what topic is like, what is actually asking to be created? But in the moving with this topic, I'm now getting way more clear that what this is like legal property battles with family. Like really like Right Riches specialty, legal property battles with family, governments and lawsuits. So I have to tell you something, like I actually don't think I am really equipped to assist you with that particular thing, but David Kubis is, and my dad's like, you need to do that class with David. And I'm sure that David would love to do that class if I come to him with this energy and this topic. because he literally deals with exactly what you're bringing up.
Okay.
Like it's his bread and butter. He knows everything about property law, not necessarily in India, but he has a lot of experience.
Right.
And then you add in sort of like my witchcraft and magic, and you get sort of like a very potent new way of dealing with
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So with your second question, I apologize because I don't know how to deal with that at this point.
Yeah.
Other than, it's like the thing of, okay, your dad owns it. Yes, he's talking about legal stuff, but if you, I think it's also like a matter of like, are you actually willing to take this on?
Well, like to be very honest, the legal part of it is on one side, but I keep getting that there's something with the land energetically that needs to be sort of resolved for this to move.
It's super interesting, this thing that I perceive in the way, like, I love that you keep going to the energy because that's what's real to me too. It's like,
Yeah.
and right here is a great example of two different realities coexisting simultaneously. The reality of the energetics of the land, which you're sensitive to and paying attention to. And then there's that other more contrived reality of ownership and legal documents and like stuff that is so conceptual, so about control, so about nothing that's really true, yet like something that everyone or a lot of people insist on making relevant. Okay, so let's do this, you guys. So everything that any of you guys had to do, okay, just I'm warning you, I might not do this as precision oriented as I would like to, but I'm just going to start. So everywhere that any of you that had anything to do with the creation of inheritance, will you destroy and uncreate all that, please? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, povads, boys, and beyonds. Anything that any of you had to do with the creation of the legal structures around the inheritance of generational wealth, will you destroy and uncreate all those controls now? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, povads, boys, and beyonds. All of you that had anything to do with creating the concepts of ownership, will you destroy and uncreate all that, please? Wow. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, povads, boys, and beyonds. Because essentially what you're talking about is stewarding the land, right? But that's not where your dad's coming from, and that's definitely not where this other corporation is coming from, right?
Nope.
They're like imposing on the earth, not working with.
Yes.
So what energy, space, consciousness, magic, miracle, mystery, power, potency, possibility, and choice can all of us, all of our bodies, and all entities who are willing to contribute be to win? And everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, povads, boys, and beyonds. Wow. I was in Australia. Again, interesting. I'm having a lot of stories about Australia with your question and with your energy. Like some years ago, and I've also told this story. Some of you guys have heard this, but I was actually out with my dad and David Kubis, interestingly, and we were driving in the car, and I was like thinking about like how there's all these like Aboriginal spirits in Australia, and like they're still very present with the land. Like it's unavoidable. And I was always like, how the fuck did the English build a civilization on top of this kind of spirit activity? Like Aboriginals are like no joke in terms of their power. And then like the Aboriginal spirits in Australia are so fucking powerful and so fucking everywhere. And like, it's so like, they were like, it was a lot. And I was like, how the fuck do you like build a civilization, like oppress a whole civilization? Of course, this is a humanoid talking. Like I would never oppress a whole civilization. I would like fully just like access the power. But I said it to my dad. I was like, how did the Europeans win? Like, why is the world like this? And he said, because magic lost.
Oh my God.
So when I'm listening to you, I'm like, it's interesting because like magic hasn't lost in you. Like you're looking at it, you're talking to it, you're intact, you're connected to an energy that is, and you keep going there, even in the face of like corporate real estate. So, what energy, space, consciousness, magic, miracle, mystery, possibility, power, potency, and choice can we in all of our bodies be to win? And everything that doesn't allow that, we destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POD, POC, shorts, POVADs, boys, and beyonds.
Wow, it's interesting when you said when you were talking about that what happened in Australia, and the moment you said the magic lost, it's almost as if the shiver went down my body. Like,
Yeah, but it's like you
yeah,
have to look at, it's like for each of you, you have to look at it's like, have you actually allowed the magic in, like, has magic lost for you? You know? And for some of you, it hasn't. Like, you've never been able to like, literally, you couldn't let go of magic, no matter how much you were abused, invalidated, tortured. Like, magic never went away. But for some of you guys, you might have let magic die, you know? So it's like, you got to look at, it's like, is magic winning in you? Or is magic losing in you? And everything that is, and everything that brings up, and all the big five contributing to any of that, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POD, POC, shorts, POVADs, boys, and beyonds. But even this thing where you're looking at, okay, there's this property, I hear it, it's talking to me. And then there's like the fucking corporations and your dad and his contracts and the fucking this and that. And it's like, that's what invalidates magic. It's all of
yeah,
that disreality, logic, conceptual stuff that I am so fucking lucky for and weirdly immune to understanding any of it that it like doesn't, it's like totally irrelevant to me. And if you make it real and true, do you choose more magic or do you lose more magic?
lose.
So what are you going to have to choose? And this is where you have to get weird. And this is maybe you're going to be choosing something that you don't even get yet or makes like you've never even seen it.
I just got. I have to choose more of me.
That's a great place to start.
Just more of me, and yeah, and stop doubting myself when I hear these things, or yeah, it just
Exactly. Exactly. Because
yeah,
when you doubt, that's when magic loses.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow.
And honestly, people are always asking me, like, Shannon, how did you get where you got? And how are you, blah, 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 and how do you make money with magic? And how do you, da, da, da? And I'm like, well, I don't ever lose, like, I do not think in a way that loses consciousness. Like, I don't go against consciousness. So, like, I don't doubt, I don't blame, I don't shame, I don't regret. At least, I mean, those are the easy ones. I can actually testify to that I don't. However, do I still have reaction? Mm-hmm. Am I weeding that out of my system? You betcha.
That was beautiful.
And that's how you be a friend to the earth. And that's how you win.
Yeah.
And you become the leader of possibility, even if others can't see it. So yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. Now it's like, what's possible?
Yeah. Wow. Yes. I have um I have one last question, and if you do not want to take it up in this class, please just let me know.
Hmm?
But it's also about like I travel a lot. Like it's very natural for me to travel a lot. I love going to new lands, new energies. And I also get that my body is in constant communication with lands. And there are times when it is not very easy. Like it's like maybe I'm not being very present, or maybe I am not receiving enough, but like my body will start reacting with pains or something or the other.
Is your body
Is this
reacting,
land?
or is your body communicating on what it's basically working on?
Wow, that. Wow. Yes. Yes.
It's
That.
you have to always, my advice would be to always start from the premise of I am contributing something. Now, what is this awareness?
Wow. Yeah.
We're in Switzerland now, and we've been here for like a week, and like my legs have not been this beaten up since I was like 13. I swear, I'm covered in bruises, covered in bug bites, covered in scrapes. I'm like looking at my legs. I'm like, Jesus, it looks like I've been like going through the wilds, like barefoot and bare legged. Like I'm like, how are my legs this messed up? And I was walking down the street yesterday, and this chick comes walking, and I was passing another woman, and she was wearing a pair of shorts and sandals, so I could really see her legs, and her legs were like super beat up, and I was like, wow, okay, so there's something that's going on here, and I know I'm working with the land here, and I'm okay with it. Like I'm like, okay, like I really look forward to my legs like not being so beaten up, but I'm also not going to resist the process.
Yeah. Got it.
What am I contributing? What is my body working on here? Body, how do I support you more in this process? Earth, what more can I contribute to you? What energy, space, consciousness, magic, miracle, mystery, power, potency, possibility, and choice can me and my body be and all entities of consciousness to win?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you all for
Thank
that. Thank
you.
you so much for that. Okay, there's another land question that I'm going to just kind of piggyback off of where you started because I want to address this. It's circling back a little bit, and there are questions about land that are quite different than where you went. So I would like to ask for a contribution to a land that has been abused. Could you contribute on how I facilitate the land more easily? There are several aspects of this land that I have been working on. It is a farm that 1/3 belongs to my late father. Here's this hereditary ownership thing again. I own the land, but I'm in a lawsuit to get ownership. How many times? I mean, literally, when something comes up this many times in the class, like, you got to listen. I already facilitated the process in this regard, and those involved who were and are true demons who abused and continue to abuse the land. I've already facilitated and continue to facilitate the earth and the beings of nature that live on it who are not happy, but I've been asking for contribution to regain ownership and be a contribution to this reality. Okay, never mind. It actually is the same topic. So it's not about actually the earth, it's about the ownership stuff. Wow, this is so interesting. Okay, so let's do this. So all of your guys's commitments, oaths, vows, fealties, loyalties, ranks, binding and bonding contracts that you made to the land in any and all lifetimes that still that keep you I guess that make it so you don't have choice. Will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, puck, shorts, povads, boys, and beyonds. Because it's sort of like there's an interesting kind of in Australia they call it a twofer. It's like two for the price of one. There's like a two-for thing going on with these questions. It's like, how do I take care of the land, but then how do I own it? Like both is occurring. And I don't know if I said this in this class. I think I actually said this I said this in Gold Pool the other day. But since this is like a house clearing from A to Z / Right Riches class, we're going to talk about money stuff. You can't own anything. Ownership is a concept. It's not true. So when you own something, we all just pretend. Like, it's like, yeah, we all agree and we pretend that you own something, but nobody owns anything. Nobody owns the earth. Nobody owns the land. It's like, you can't. It's like not a thing. So we just have to agree. We basically, and some of us are forced into agreeing to laws, right? Like if you don't follow the law, you're going to be punished, right? That's how they force you to agree with the law. But no one owns anything. Like no one's taking their Mercedes with them when they die. Like there's no ownership. So you can't own the land. Could you steward the land? So again, it's like, what energy, space, consciousness, magic, miracle, mystery, possibility, power, potency, and choice can you and your body and all beings of consciousness be to win? I think that's really the name of the game here when we're talking about like legal battles about land and property. All of you guys, actually everyone that's asked a question about like legal stuff, ownership with multiple people, difficulty in dealing with land and property because of like legal stuff and inheritance, obligation, difficulty, but energy, space, consciousness, magic, miracle, what do they call it? Shebanga bangs? Yes, that's what Gary and Dane say. All the shebanga bangs, what shebanga bangs can me and my body be and all beings of consciousness to win. Now, what that means is that if you can't own it, right, you're not winning over, you're winning in magic. Cool. I like that. I like that solution to that. Okay. Zainab, you've had your hand up for a long time. Thank you for your patience. And I see all of you guys with your hands up, so we'll get there. Hopefully today.
She requires translation.
Yes, I got that. Do you think she'll turn her camera on? Zainab, talk to me.
I can't open camera. I don't know why. Oh,
She's talking, right? I heard her for a sec.
Yeah, she said she can't open the camera. She doesn't know why. She's trying to open the camera. She's not able to do that.
Maybe because she wants to hide something. She's like, yes!
يمكن لازم أخرج وأدخل تاني عشان أفتح الكاميرا.
Maybe she needs to log out and log in again to open
It's
the
okay.
camera.
It's okay. Just ask your question. Let's just keep on going.
أوكي. سؤالي هو يعني إحنا عندنا بيت عبارة عن البيت مع مزرعة. تمام.
Okay, she has a house. They have a house with a farm attached to it.
قبل 3 سنوات قررنا إنه المزرعة هذه نبيعها ونكتفي في البيت.
3 years ago, they decided to sell the farm and stay only with the house.
بالنسبة صك الملكية هو 1 فيجب علينا إنه يعني يصير في 2 1 للمزرعة و1 للبيت.
Okay, the deed of the land is all inclusive, and now they have to make 2 deeds for the land, one for the house, one for the farm.
Right.
من 3 سنين تقريبا الأوراق موقفة في يعني في في المؤسسة أو في المحكمة.
3 years ago, the papers are like stuck in court. They can't change anything.
أخذت سيشن عشان هذا الموضوع وكانت في كينونات فعلا وكانت كينونات جدا صعبة وعنيدة.
Okay.
بعد السيشن
She took a session for this subject, and the entities were stubborn. And after the session,
بعد السيشن اتحرك الموضوع وكان في اوكي يعني صار في مخالفات يعني لازم في إزالة مخالفات مش على المزرعة على نفس البيت.
okay, after the session, the papers started moving, but there were things that had to be changed on the house, not the farm.
Mhm.
طيب وإلى الآن الموضوع يعني ما مشي، فكيف ممكن نحرر هذا الأرض من الكينونات حتى نكمل الأوراق وبالتالي نبيع الأرض؟
Okay, how can still until now nothing has moved, literally, like they still can't sell the farm, and so how can
Right.
they clear the entities keeping this, holding this in place?
Well, do you mean you want someone else to do it for you? Because you know how to clear entities now, right?
دايما بتطلع لي كينونات اللي هي حماية، فبعمل كلير.
She's always getting that these are guardian entities.
Like ownership, like they think they own. Or guard, like do you mean like they're stewards or they're owning?
مالكين.
Owning.
Huh. Have you talked to them?
نو لا دايما أعمل تحرير على طول.
Goes to clearing directly. She doesn't communicate.
Have you done the beginning class?
أيوة.
Yes.
So you have that who am I communicating with flowchart, right?
أيوة موجود.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
You can do this. You can do this. I'm gonna give this to you as homework, okay? So before tomorrow's session, I want you to get out your manual, go through your flowchart, and talk to these entities. You can do this.
أوكي.
Okay. Will you tell me how it goes tomorrow?
إن شاء الله. أوكي. أوكي.
Good.
Well.
Good. Good. Great. Great. Great.
طيب
Okay.
عندي سؤال ثاني.
He has another question.
Okay.
السؤال الثاني اللي هو بالنسبة للنمل أو الحشرات، دايما يكون أي مكان أو تقريبا أغلب الأماكن اللي أكون موجودة فيها يكون فيها نمل وأنواع كثيرة من النمل. فلما قررت أتواصل معاهم برضو كمان طلع لي حماية.
Everywhere she's in, there are a lot of ants and insects, but like a lot of kinds, even several species of ants.
Uh-huh.
And she decided to communicate with them, and she did communicate with them. And what she got is that they are protecting or protection ants.
فكان عندي شوية كده استغراب إنه ليش أنا كل مرة أسكن في مكان يكون في النمل ده كحماية لي.
I'm amazed is that every place I occupy or rent or stay in, there are ants who are trying
Right.
to protect me.
Yeah. Cool. What else is possible? Have you studied ants? Maybe you should learn more about ants. They're pretty phenomenal creatures. They're fucking incredible. Okay. Thank you, honey. Okay, I'm going to move on to Jyoti.
Hi, this class is magic. I'm going
Today, it
soon.
feels a lot easier to me than yesterday. I'm glad we got over
Yes.
whatever that was yesterday.
Yes. So I was reading the manual, and in the manual, in the house clearing part, there is this thing: what you do repeatedly in a house has an impact on the molecular structure.
Right.
And if you're judging that part, so one of the things I've been aware of when it is the money question, or when it's about change, specifically like in this house, since I have come, one of the things I have been looking at is requiring more clients. Means this is the place where it's working and everything is in this one place. So all the stress or the worry questions that we keep on repeating in ourselves. So it has been this energy that has been present in this space, about all my concerns or my traumas, whatever. I did pod and poc a lot of the but I'm just saying, is there anything else that I can ask, like to clear the degenerative energies that don't contribute to me?
Well, you mean like other than like all of the clearing processes you already have and know how to use?
Yeah, means like what I have been perceiving recent, like just 2-3 days before the class, and it's very funny that I was not even thinking about asking. I burnt my finger, and it's very funny when we are in the middle of the class, this particular call, you can't see the scar. The moment the class is over, the scar appears. And I have been running cellular memory and all of that, and I have never had, like, if I have burnt myself, I'm able to heal it. But this is the first time, the moment the class, we just go by and the scar appears. It's very funny. So it's not just with money, but it's with the bodies and everything. So I have been running a lot of clearing, and I'm asking, is there something I'm missing or something else that I can do to change the molecular structure of whatever is stopping me from moving ahead?
Stopping you from moving ahead.
Yeah, I do have this sense that I am not moving ahead. Like the energy, the way I used to perceive, if it's like
Mm.
either I'm perceiving differently, but I'm not able, that we have that space when we are going through that change, when we don't know the past is gone and the future is not shown up yet. So I am in that space, and I'm almost feeling that I have not learned anything. Like yesterday when I was reading the manual, I was like, do I even know this manual? It's like highlighted, it's underlined, it's notes, and I am like, I don't even know any word in this manual. I
So
have never done this class.
what I would be asking if I were you, hold on, let me find it, is what capacity would you have to choose, or like what capacity is this like finger thing, to institute total humanoid reality?
Oh, I get speed. Okay, I'll have that.
So you have to be also clear that you're in an actualization phenomenon. So it's like okay, so like what else must you actualize? And what capacity for humanoid actualization is showing up?
I just get the words, two words, more magic,
So
whatever that looks like.
yeah. So when you have that like lost sense, you want to be asking, okay, so like what capacity for humanoid actualization must I choose?
Okay, sure, I'll ask that.
Okay.
And one very quick things from today's call. These are the things I heard you say, and I would really ask you to say more, please. One is greet the energy that is available.
Greet the energy that's available?
Yeah, you just mentioned when you were talking to Niyati in today's class, you mentioned greet the energy that is available.
Yeah.
Can you say a little more about that?
What do you think I mean?
Okay, I got that. I got
Cool.
that.
Cool, cool,
Second,
cool.
okay, can also, how can we watch ourselves from going against consciousness? What questions can we ask? Means without labeling, whether it's a distractor implant or anything, but just being more clearer with ourselves as to what am I choosing with this?
If it's heavy, it's a lie.
Okay, got that. We can use that. Got it. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Mr. Manju.
Hi. So my first question is, are houses and defined spaces entities, as in beings, or just packets of consciousness?
Well, they're created entities.
Okay, cool. And how do they transform when properties get divided? Like, what happens to them?
Well, all creation is malleable. So what do you mean what happens? You're leaving out some information or some presumption that I'm not privy to. Like, and when you say what happens when they get divided, do you mean like when a big house gets turned into apartments? Or like, what do you mean?
Yeah, or even just like a house gets split into two, or like a piece of land gets split into two. Is it like to the creative?
You know what's funny? When I talk to you, I feel like I don't know anything. It's the strangest experience. I'm like, I have no idea. But it isn't really true. It's just, it's the weirdest experience. So, I mean, doesn't it kind of have to do with like who divides the property? Like, and how good of a job they do or don't do? Like, what do you mean what happens to them when they get divided? Like,
is it like the same entity that's presiding over the whole space, or do they get split into multiple entities, or like what happens?
why does this matter?
Next question.
Okay.
So when you're in an apartment, so when you're in an apartment in a space that's kind of like subdivided, and you're working with that small unit of space, but it's also connected with the big unit of space.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, when you're working on an apartment is different. It's because, like, for example, I was having some sort of pain. We've been in this Airbnb, which is an apartment inside of a building that probably has 7 apartments in it. And I was waking up here like my intestines, like my whole like system just felt different. And I was like, at first, of course, I'm a humanoid, so I thought I was wrong. And then like that didn't help anything. So then I was like, okay, so like, am I aware of one of the neighbors? And I couldn't really change anything until I acknowledged like, okay, I am perceiving somebody in this building. So that's talking about the body. But when you're working on an apartment, like if you've got a neighbor who's like constantly doing drugs or like a demon portal, like that's going to impact the whole building. So what you want to do with that is you want to like bell jar that apartment. Because you will not be able to deal with that if they're like constantly using drugs or constantly inviting certain kind of entities in. Like that's, it's like trying to fight the river. It's like, yes, I mean, you can fight the river. Men do it humans do it all the time. But it's like it's like it would be like a full-time job. So it's like you want to bell jar that neighbor or that apartment. And another idea is what energy, space, consciousness, like what shebang-a-bangs can me and my body be to make it, like what energy would be so horrible for this neighbor to be around that they move out? Like what can I be? What can I be to move all this energy. There was a years ago, like, and I mean like fucking really like 20 years ago, I was a Pilates instructor and I was working in this studio that I loved, but the girl at the front desk was this hardcore human and she was a bitch. She was, and it got to the point where like I wanted to quit because like I did not want to see her every day. And my dad was like, and I was complaining to my dad and he was just like, make it so light that she can't stand it. And so I started like, just like every morning I would like fill the whole Pilates studio with light and like fill all the equipment with light and like be light. And then she quit 3 days later. So like I used that method, like if I was living in a apartment like full time, like that, and there was some funky neighbor, like I would just like be the energy that, you know, they would want to get away from. So that's how you sort of, so with apartments, like if you've got a funky neighbor, like bell jar, or be the energy that like they want to get away from, right? So there's that. I mean, and you know, what I do is I like, sometimes I can like feel, because I was actually, Max and I were living in an apartment, you know, for the last 5 years, which we liked, but I was super aware of the neighbors. And sometimes what I would do is I would like turn on I'd like put on an ESB or an SOP class and like bubble all of the building, like so, and run it like on the whole building. So like I was working on everybody. Like I'm guarantee you people's lives changed with us living there.
Yeah.
And I was doing the entity clearings and like I be the clearing. So like I was really changing the space a lot. So with apartments, you do have to include everybody. It would be foolish not to.
Right. Yeah, and every time I've used your house clearing audios in the spaces, like it just changes everyone and everything.
Yeah, I know.
Associated with that.
Isn't
like,
that so cool? I know.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I've actually had to use my own clearing audios twice. Only in Zermatt, Switzerland, which is Zermatt's like the village at the base of the Matterhorn in southern Switzerland. It's so weird. Every time we stay in an Airbnb there, I have to use my house clearing loop, but like I'm always shocked how effective it is. So yeah.
Well, one of the interesting things is my first talk to entities beginning class kind of like totally my awareness with entities, and I was not able to sit in cinemas after that. Like I would like just my whole body would go into like this anxiety panic mode, and I didn't really get an answer as to what was going on, but some awareness told me to play your space clearing audio. So after that, so I bought it from the store, and I would just play it on my phone every time I walked into a cinema, and I had no problem at all.
You know, that's actually giving me kind of an idea. So those of you guys that are having like land, legal, inheritance, hereditary problems with property or land, I like wonder if you should like play the house and space clearing loop. I don't know how you would perform that exactly, because like if this is land, like I don't really know how you do that. You like put an iPod like in a tree or something. Like I don't know how you would really, but you want to play it like a lot. I think that would really work, actually. I think that would probably like shift the legal battles, if I'm honest. I would really like somebody to try it and tell me what happens.
We did it in the new land in Greece. Sorry that my camera doesn't work. It's
Yeah.
on it. And it worked amazingly. We did it in 2 lands. One that was very disturbed land, and one that was like big and weird. And in the minute that we started playing it, just the energy shifted and lots of awareness. So I highly recommend that.
How did you play it? Like, how did you
With
do
an
that?
iPhone, we put an iPhone, and then Boaz brought the speakers. It was really just crazy funny. So yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I think I really would love somebody to do it though, because there's been like multiple questions about legal problems. So I really would love one of the people who's having like legal problems with their properties or like can't sell it because of like difficulty with like multiple owners, like play the house and space clearing loop like in that house or on that property and it might be, you might have to play it for weeks. It depends. It might be immediate and it might take hours and it might take days and it might take weeks. So you want to make sure to have like a constant energy source to that iPhone. But I would love to hear how that works.
Shannon, I have done this for my family apartment. It's in Kolkata. I stay in Delhi. So there were a lot of conflicts going on with the property. I played it where I stay in Delhi, but since it's energy, I tapped into the energy of the property
Yep.
and directed the energy of the clearing
Yeah.
to the apartment.
Okay.
And it changed. So, the people who were in conflict left the house. So they are
Right.
family members, but they don't stay there anymore. So the conflict is resolved. And when they come over also, they are more happier and peaceful.
I feel like we should do like an instruction video for like all the uses of the house and space clearing loop and like have you guys talking about these stories and be like, here's the instructions of how to use this. So people like I love your guys' creativity and use of that. Like
Yeah,
I think
and
that's super interesting.
So even during COVID, I was playing that in because I stay in an area where a lot of retired people and everything, and the energy of the whole area calmed down. There are more birds showing up, more trees, more happier, and people are more cooperative. So I have been playing with this, but yeah, I tap into the energy and not focus on where I am playing it.
Okay, cool. So that could work too. Ideas.
Thank you. They are awesome.
Cool.
There was this space that I was looking to take to make a bars therapy center for almost 2 years now, and it wasn't really coming. And about 15 days ago, I got access to go into the space and like see it. And the owner gave me the keys because he was busy and stuff. So I bought a cheap phone and I put this space clearing and I left it there. And after 5 days, he gave me the place.
This is okay. We have to put that in the instructional video too. Like I love hearing how you guys are using this shit and like how it's working. I feel like I'm stupid for missing the blatant obviousness of this. So those of you guys that are having legal problems with land or can't sell the house, play the clearing loop. Okay, cool.
One request, like how we've been working with all these people's properties and stuff yesterday and today, can we all go to Elugar and do something contributive to Elugar?
Well, it's funny that you say that because to me, Elugar like contributes so much more than it takes. Like it's so already contributing. Like it. No.
I mean, not that like there's something stuck or just as a gifting.
Well, I mean, okay, sure, but it's a little bit presumptuous that they're,
Cool.
it's like, is it? I mean, I'm a no. That's a no. Sorry.
Okay.
Or I mean, sure, go ahead, like do that, but it's yeah, I don't know how else to say. I'm not getting a yes on that.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, thank you, Manju. Okay, Valerie.
Yes, hello. We had all the legal stuff, but we threw it now, and we have a piece of land. We have an old house from 1700, 1600, and it's been in the family for 50 years. But there is nothing has been done because my grandfather passed away, and then the aunts, and they rented out the place. And since we have it, my brother and I was wondering which questions I could be asking for the land and the house to return to where the land wants to go and not what we want to go. I don't know.
Okay, but you need to be a little bit aware of that because if you're asking where the land wants to go, that means that the house will deteriorate into the earth.
Okay.
I would more be functioning so now you and your brother own the property?
Yes, with my partner.
Aha, okay. So I would probably be more asking like, okay, so like what's possible here? House,
Okay.
would you like to be renovated? Would you like to be knocked down? Land, what is possible here? Like what's possible? Like you need to be like more in the question.
Yes, and that's what I was wondering because I'm not a very good person who asks questions. Like I don't know how to
You're not a very good person at asking questions yet.
yet. Yes. Yeah.
So why don't you make this a fun exercise then for yourself? Why doesn't this become an exercise in listening, asking, relaxing, listening, asking, and let it take as long as it takes. But I guarantee you, if you keep on asking the place, like the land, the house, okay, so like what's possible here? Like, what's the next step? One morning you're going to wake up and it'll be there.
Okay. Okay. I know because from the land, the land and the house together, I asked that question. Well, I did something 10 years ago and I said, if it has to be staying here for me and my brother, then it will be like that. And it took us a long time. So it's there now. And yeah, and can you also talk to the structure of the house to re
To what? What?
can I contribute like to the house that it's without really renovating, but that the house can be like shining and
I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, yes, I wonder. That's a great question. It's an interesting question. It seems a little bit like, I wonder if you're trying to get away with something rather than make the choices that will work with the greatest ease. Like, are you trying to get away with not having to spend money?
No, not
Oh.
just no, that's not
Well, then
to-
why wouldn't you just want to renovate?
because the electricity and the plumbing are starting to get out, and once you start to do that, then you have to like renovate the whole house. That's
Why
what
wouldn't, right, so why wouldn't you do that?
because I think sometimes we do renovation projects and we buy houses. That's what I did before with my brother. We buy houses and then we break everything down
Yeah?
without asking any question because we didn't know.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see where you're, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and now this is a
Right.
house that
Yeah.
has so much more charm than whatever.
right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, so right now, so Max and I are in the process of purchasing a property in England. And it's actually not an old property. But it was, well, part of it's old. It was the barn that was part of this farm, like a hundreds and hundreds of year old farm. And that's how they do it in England. Like you can't build new in a lot of these areas. You just have to like convert the agricultural buildings. Yeah. So they converted it about 5 years ago and they're selling and we're buying it. But there's like inside the house, there's like this, they did something weird with the formation of a couple of the rooms. And like, I can tell it's wrong, but I like can't quite tell. Like I was like, okay, for this house to work, like this has to change, but I didn't really know what to do. Like I just knew it needed to change, but I didn't know what to do. So I actually asked my dad because he's like, I don't know if you guys know this, but like he's like an incredible interior designer. Like he does shit that like I couldn't even, whenever I've had weird stuff with my house, I'm like, what do I do here? And he's like, okay, move that there and move that there and do this. And it like totally changes and works. But he said like, he said, I don't really work that good off of plans. I have to be in the space. And we only have like a floor plan for the house, so he couldn't really help me. So I was like, okay, so what do I do? And I just got this hit to like find somebody who can help me. So I went online and I Googled some people and and I asked the house, I'm like, do you like this person, or this person? And it was like it was kept on pinging about this one particular woman, and she was the only interior designer that got back to me, like immediately. And I told her, I was like, I want to reconfigure the house. And she goes, okay. And it was almost like the whole space started like adjusting as soon as I got her energy like involved in it. So I'm like working with the house. Like, I'm not going to impose my will on the house. I'm actually going to contribute to getting like a better energy flow in the house in a way that like I do not have the expertise to actually do it. I just know that it needs to get done. So I asked the house, okay, what do you need? I need to adjust this. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to adjust this. Okay, I have to get somebody to help me to adjust this. Who can it be? Oh, this person, good. And it's like, so it's, you know, if you have to kind of ask the house, like, does something need to change here?
I get a no.
Okay. So if someone's going to continue to live in the house, how does that work? You know, if the plumbing and the electricity needs to be modernized, or like, how do you do it? Because like, really, I'm not sure I can actually give you much more advice at this point, because it's not my expertise, but like Gary is weirdly good at it. Like he like modernized part of the property in Italy, that castle in Italy, like he modernized part of it. Like there's all modern bathrooms, but like the roof is still 500 years old. So it's like this weird combination of renovation and just letting it be what it is.
Yes, that's what I feel. I like that direction. Because before it's imposed by us. I mean, we decided, and we have there is so much norms and things that has to be done today.
Okay.
And this place is so far away from a big city. It's and I think that place was always been somewhere very magical.
Mm-hmm. So how about this? So how about, will you destroy and uncreate like all your projections, expectations, separations, rejections, judgments, presumptions about like what is the right way to like renovate an old house? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, poveds, boys, beyonds, and everyone else's projections, expectations, separations, rejections, judgments, and presumptions about the right thing to do with an old house. Will you destroy and uncreate everything you've made real and true about any of that? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, poveds, boys, and beyonds. And it sounds like this is an excellent opportunity for you to really take what you're learning in this class and apply it into developing a new possibility.
Yes, that's true. No, sorry.
I mean, I'm even wondering if you should play the house and space clearing loop in the house, right?
Yes, I think I'm going in 2 months. I go there for 14 days, and that was already in my head to let it play there the whole time, nonstop. Yeah, I have another question about that.
Okay.
There is also, as it's a bay near the beach, and there is only water is coming from our property, and it's then divided and it's go everywhere. But that's
right.
All for free, actually.
Huh.
Yeah, and there is something there that I don't know if there is a way just to stop that or to make.
Why would you want to?
Because it's free normally. Why should they benefit from something from us, from the goodwill that the property can still use for other things?
Is that really your point of view?
I think so, yes.
Or is that a point of view of this reality?
A point of view of this reality.
It's like, does the earth charge people for the gifts that it gives?
No.
So what makes you the boss of that resource, you know?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, if the source is on the property, like how awesome for you. And what if you just acknowledge that is a gift that you're willing to give because you're generous?
Yes, okay, that's good. Because it's normally we are like that in generosity, but it's because it has been in the legal stuff from buying the house that it's
Mhm.
like all
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, this is a plan for you to choose. What do you want to
Mhm.
create?
More possibilities. And
Good. Then will this trait create more possibilities or will this choice create more possibilities? So, right, being in the question, will this choice create more possibility or will this choice create more possibility?
okay. Thank you.
Interesting. Love it. I love it. How exciting.
Yes, it is. It is because it's far away from everything. It's so it's an interesting place.
Well, I like that you get to put your tools into practice.
Thank you very much for everything.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies with your hands up. So what if you guys go first tomorrow? Can you guys do that? We have Paula is first, Mo is second, Marjorie.
Shannon,
Yeah?
it's so quick.
Oh, okay.
¿Me puedes traducir, Ele?
Claro que sí.
Quiero decir gracias. Después de la pregunta de ayer me sentí súper errónea, pero quiero contar rápidamente lo que pasó después de que terminó la llamada.
So I want to thank you. Yesterday after my question, I was feeling really wrong, but I want to tell you what happened just after the call.
Terminó la llamada, la llamé a mi mami y le dije toda la conciencia que había tenido durante la clase.
So when the class finished, I called my mom. I had told her what I got from the class.
Y ella me contó la historia de que la pelea de hermanos venía de antes.
And she told me that this fight amongst siblings comes from before that.
Y me dijo, yo quiero cambiar la realidad de esta familia y me gustaría dividir la herencia en vida.
And she said, I want to change the reality of this family and I will divide the inheritance while I am alive.
Entonces ella va a organizar una reunión con los hermanos para que cada uno tenga una propiedad diferente, incluida esta.
So she will gather all my siblings, and she will give a different property to each of them.
Do you think like maybe like I should get part of what you're getting because of, you know, what I did? Like maybe you could write me into your deed with you, like,
Yes.
and Shannon gets 3% of my property.
Yes, for sure. And another thing, I always put your clean in the property. And I'm so happy because yesterday I feel so wrong, but now I feel so happy for the possibility about the class, for follow the energy.
That's
so
amazing.
Thanks. Thank you. I am so happy, so happy. Another thing, after the class, I went to the house to look the house. Yes, so nice. So I want to buy this house. I hope will be possible.
Should I make you feel really wrong again to see what's possible? That seems to be the way we do it. I make you feel wrong and then something becomes possible.
No. I want to say thank you. Thank you, Shannon.
Okay. Well, I love that actually is a great acknowledgement because I thought that conversation with you went also horrible, but just goes to show me that who cares if we like the process as long as it works.
Can I give a testimony?
Sure.
Leave my question for tomorrow?
Yes.
Sure.
Well, I have...
Shannon? Ayúdame, Ele. ¿Ayudaría a limpiar la impresión magnética de los hermanos anteriores dueños del terreno? Que era una pelea de ellos.
Would it work to clear the magnetic imprinting of the siblings that were before us, like it was from the previous generation? Would that work clearing this fight with the property?
Didn't this get handled? I'm not really sure what why you're going there. Elena, am I missing something?
She just wants to know if she wants to clear the magnetic imprinting.
But why? Didn't you
De los
fix
sueños
this?
anteriores a mi
Pero
familia.
¿por qué? Dice que por qué, si no se ha arreglado ya.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, Mo.
I was in a relationship with someone and I wanted to leave. And I thought to myself, I had nowhere to go, even though I had 2 rental properties. So I did the beginners class and both of them had tenants in it. But this specific one, which I'm living now, is my property that I thought I want to stay there for the rest of my life because it's right on the waterfront. It's really lovely. So the tenants were going to leave in end of May, which they did. And I kept doing the clearings for me to move into this house. But it's in the UK. So in England, you can't live in a mortgage when it's a buy-to-let property. You have to change the mortgage. I've spoken to the mortgage company. They would not allow me unless I had enough money to pay for all the bills and the mortgage on this place and my partner's as well. So I said, I don't have the money to do that. I said, so I start clearing, and nothing happened. And I said, I must be doing something wrong. So when the tenants moved, I came here and had a chat with the house and was looking on the manual. And I thought, oh my God, this is where the Spitfire planes were built. This has been, it was bombed and everything. So that it took me to that thing. So I started talking to them and I used like, say, if there's anyone here that's waiting for someone to come back from the war and all that. So I went into all these kind of weird questions that I don't know even where it came from.
Oh, well, it came from me. Weird questions. What are you saying? I'm weird? You don't know where it came from. I'm paying to learn it. Mo.
No, when I say weird, it's because I didn't think I had the ability to remember I said, oh my God, I'm actually asking the questions because usually I think, what am I going to ask? And I sit there for hours and nothing comes to my mind. And I thought it was a weird situation that everything that I needed to say came to my head to say it.
Okay.
So I left at that. And then the next day I spoken to my financial advisor, said, is there anything we can do? So we talked to the mortgage company and they said, okay, the property is empty. You can move into the property. You don't need to change the mortgage now. And we review it next year. But if I had to do it now, they gave me, first of all, they wanted me to change it. I said, I can't do that because I had to get a deed of variation, which I had to pay like £10,000 to my landlord. It was really complicated. But I said, I came back here again and I said, come on, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, within 24 hours, everything just shifted. And I'm now living in a property.
Well,
I love you to bits. I didn't mean that as your weird question. It's just I thought it was strange for me that I didn't think I had the capacity to remember all these questions.
But I have to pull you up on that a little bit because that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the class where magic loses, right? You started being suspicious and casting disparagement on the effectiveness of the transformational questions. Like, what if that's not weird? What if that's actually you increasing your intelligence and becoming more capable? And that's not wrong. That's not weird. That's strong.
Yeah. So it's just truly amazing.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much. I love you to bits.
Thank you. And I love hearing the stories and I love hearing how you guys are using the tools and how much they're working. And it's also an interesting thing too, because I realized I did this class originally, 7-8 years ago. So I would have first done the house and space clearing 3-part class like 8 years ago, right? So where the body of work came from. And like doing it now, like I'm not really doing that class again. Like this is something different. This is like some sort of like hereditary inheritance property law class coupled with the momentum and application of the tools used over many years by you guys. So it's something different now that I haven't even really worked out what this is. But hopefully by tomorrow, we'll know what this is. If anyone has any ideas, I'd love to hear it. Okay, so all the ladies with their hands down, did someone write down the order of those questions? Like, okay, good, Angelique, good. I thought she probably did. Okay, brilliant. So you guys can go first tomorrow, and we'll just take a break now and pick this back up tomorrow. See you guys then. Ciao.